Good morning and welcome to my show. I'm your host, Danny Graham, and I both invite and I encourage you to come walk with me on the road to wisdom. It's Friday, y'all. Come on, y'all. Let's get to walking. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm your host, Danny Graham, and I welcome you to another edition of the Road to Wisdom. Like I always do on Fridays, I'm going to give you a song, an inspirational song, one of my favorites. This comes from the Canton Spirituals. It's called Searching, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Y'all remember that? I've been searching for a long time. I knew that it was something that I had to find. I've been searching. You should have seen me wringing my hands and crying. It was all because I couldn't find peace of mind, and it was then. Oh, I kneeled down to pray. I said, Lord, will you show me the way? I've been searching for a long time. I knew there was something that I had to find. Yeah, I've been searching. Y'all should have seen me wringing my hands and crying. Oh, because I couldn't find peace of mind, and it was then. Oh, I kneeled down to pray. I said, Lord, will you show me the way? Can I tell you what I did? You know what I did? And I searched, and I searched, but I just couldn't find my way. That day, oh Lord, my life, oh yes sir, seemed like I came to a dead end road, and it was then. Oh, I kneeled down to pray. I said, come on, Jesus, show me the way. Sometimes I look up and I tell the Lord, oh Lord, show me the way. Oh Lord, oh my Lord, show me the way. You show my mother, you show my father, you show my sister, you show my brother. Let me ask you something. Have you ever asked him? Have you ever asked him? Have you ever asked him? Anybody ever asked him? Oh, Lord, yeah. Oh, my Lord, yeah. And it was then. Oh, I kneeled down to pray. I said, Lord, will you show me the way? Searching. Those words are so um in tune with what I want to talk about today. Because right now we should be searching. And the reason I want to talk about we should be searching and bending our knees and asking God what to do and point us in the right direction. Because today's topic, right here, you can see we need God, not a president. I want to hammer that home. We need God and not a president. In upcoming November, it's going to be the presidential election. And right now, in my mind, the two candidates that we have are both equally unqualified in my opinion. One I believe is from for a better word is just
very unpresidential. I could say a lot of other stuff. I want to be respectful of the office and the things he's going through now with his prostitute and all kind of stuff, all kind of trials and tribulations he seems to be going through. That alone, in my mind, should disqualify him from even representing us. He's supposed to be a country that is supposed to be standing before the people, showing honor, showing our leadership, showing that our integrity should be impeccable. But right now, his integrity, his whole way of his thought process, all this stuff is under attack. I know some people saying, "Well, they're making it up, and he's not doing all that," and other presidents have done this, other presidents have done that. Yeah, other presidents have done. There's no president that's been in office is perfect, but seems to be the least perfect president of anyone I've ever seen in my life. And President Biden, the current president, President Biden, I think he's just too old. I don't think he has the mental sharpness. I don't think he has the energy that's needed to hold that office. I definitely think they should put in a age limit to these individuals that run for president. You should be nowhere between the age of maybe 40 to 65. If you're beyond that, then you should not be allowed. Now, if you're going to turn older than 65 when you're in your second term or something like that, that's acceptable. But trying to run for your first term and you're 65 years old or you're older than 65, you should be ineligible. They should definitely put in my opinion, an age because we're a country that is trying to be the leader of the whole world, trying to set the example. We're always trying to come to other people's defense. There's nothing wrong with that, but there must be a limit to that. It seems like they're just printing out this money and sending this money to these different countries that's going through all this stuff, and we still have our own issues and problems ourselves. And a lot of that is because we have gone away tremendously from God. We're thinking that we can handle stuff, that we can solve these problems without consulting with God, and God is just letting the devil run amok. He just letting the devil do all kind of crazy stuff. So these presidents have voted in about same-sex marriages and all this other different kind of stuff, legalizing marijuana and legalizing this and legalizing that, and kind of have do what you want type attitude instead of basing their decisions without consulting God. And we saw this same thing, and we seen this same thing, and we read about this same thing in the Bible, especially in the book of Samuel. And I want to read that to you because we see quite a lot of similarities. I'm going to read for you First Samuel. I'm going to start at chapter 8. I'm going to start at verse 3. No, I'm start at verse 1. And it reads as follows. And it came to pass when Samuel was old that he made his sons judges over Israel. Now, this was a mistake because Samuel was about 6 years old when this happened. And as godly as Samuel was and living in God's doctrine and following God's, the Bible doesn't also reveals that Samuel wasn't perfect. He had flaws as well. As favored as Samuel was, he still had flaws. And there's no hint that he asked the Lord God for guidance as it regards to placing his sons in places of authority. Now, as fathers, we always want our sons to kind of carry on the family business if we can. My son was having a issue far as what kind of profession he wanted to, and I instantly kind of pushed him towards law enforcement or gave him an option to do that versus the option that he had on the table. And at first, I thought he was considerate, which I would have been very happy. I could have shown him and put him in places and mentor him and that kind of stuff. But he said he didn't want to do that. Fine, no problem. But a lot of times, as fathers, we want our sons or our daughters to carry on the family tradition. But in this case, as far as godly as Samuel was, he wasn't perfect. I think he placed his sons in these positions of authority, but he didn't train them right. And there's no indication that he asked God, should he do this? And then as we're going to read, you're going to see how Samuel's sons were very corrupt. Now the name of the firstborn was Joel, and the name of the second was Abadai. They were judges in Beersheba. He made them judges. And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, which is money. Lucre is the name of money. And took bribes and perverted the judgment. So they took bribes. They did not do things fairly. They didn't do things in a godly manner. They did things the way they wanted to prosper. And we see that so definitively here in today's world. You just throw some money at somebody and they'll say whatever you want them to say or do whatever you want them to do. Um, And in this time, this sin was expressly forbidden by the law. And it marks the high spirit of the nation that was so indignant as justice being this perverted. God was not pleased with this. Then all the elders gathered themselves and came to Samuel and to Ramah, because Samuel's sons, like I said earlier, were so corrupted. And they said unto Samuel, behold, you are old, and your sons walk not in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations. So the people, the Israelites, was just tired of these bad judges. So they're like, look, we don't want these judges anymore. The judges are not working. We need a king, because a king is going to be for the people, not going to be for themselves. So, and the reason why they wanted a king, because like I said, they saw other nations around them that had kings. Like they're doing it, they got a king, and they're prospering. So we want a king as well. Um, let's see. But then the thing displeased Samuel when they said, "Give us a king to judge us." And Samuel prayed to the Lord. Now Samuel goes to the Lord and said, "Well, Lord, the decision I made, my sons, they're not doing what's right. Now the people want a king." And he prays to God. Um, but it says that Samuel's displeasure for had nothing to do with them rejecting his sons. He didn't mind that. He rather because of the rebellion and impatience of the people and not waiting for the king whom God had promised. God had promised him a king, but the people were rushing God. The Israelites were rushing. Samuel said, "Look, we're not waiting on God. We want our king now. I want you to go to God and tell God, but we want our king." And Samuel was displeased with the people because there was a patient waiting on God's word. And then the Lord said unto Samuel, hearken unto the people, hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say to you. For they may not reject you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. So this is what I'm talking about right now. The people, we want this president. We want a president to rule over us and to be our leader and commander in chief. But are we actually praying to God? Is the United States coming together? God has given us a perfect example that right now we're choosing between the lesser of two evils. Do we want President Trump, which some people want, and it has the country divided, or do we want President Biden, that some people want, and thinking, at least I'm thinking, it's the lesser of two evils. But the lesser of two evils is not a good enough reason in my mind to pick someone. My alternative is we need to collectively, as a people, as individuals, come together and pray and ask God, please send us someone or put someone that whoever's going to be in there, Lord, touch him, change him, and get this world and get the United States back in the correct way. Because if we're supposed to be the leaders of the world, then if we're leading by example, then the whole world should step in line. There's going to be some people that not. But if we come together as a people and pray to God and say, look, Lord, we are in a mess now. We definitely need your help. We need your guidance. We need you to touch whatever leader this is and guide him or her, Lord. Touch them and let their decisions be based on your word and your doctrine. Then that is going to make this world a whole lot better place. But we're not doing that. We are choosing to side with someone that, like I said, for the better, is not presidential. The other person, in my opinion, is too old and too feeble, not making the right decisions, not having the right appearance, just doing stuff and being made fun of and ridiculed, and he is not respected by a vast majority of the country. So a leader that doesn't have the country's respect or trust is not going to be an effective leader. We see this in the book of Samuel, but God warns them. And in chapter 8, it says, according to all the works, well, verse 8, according to all the works which they have done since the day I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, where they have forsaken me and serve other gods, so they also unto you too. So to reject God's man is to reject God. So they were rejecting God. And now reason in verse 9, now therefore hearken unto your voice, howbeit, yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of king they shall reign over them. God warned Samuel to tell them, he said, God said in his tender love, would plainly tell them that treatment they would receive from the new king of their own choice. 6 times he repeated this fact. And God told them he will take, as referring to this particular king that they wanted, oftentimes through a work of flesh, we can bring things into existence which are contrary to God's will. No matter the face that we put on it, it will only bring troubles and difficulties. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people who asked for a king. And so they had no excuse of saying that I didn't know. God had warned them. He told them what this new king that they wanted was going to do. He told Samuel, and Samuel passed the word back on to the people. Then God says in his warning, this will be the man of king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots. And he will appoint his captains over thousands and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground. To plant his own crops. That's basically what it means. He's going to make these captains plant his crops instead of worrying about your crops as the king. And to reap the harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. So he's going to, all the hard work that you put in, this new king that you want, the Israelites wanted, he's going to take all their hard work, all the best of what they make, and take it for himself. And he will take the 10th of your seed, 10th of your harvest as tax. Like he's going to take the best that you got off the top. Then what's left over, he's going to take 10% of that to tax as your tax and tribute to him. This is what this new king is going to do. And your vengeance and give you to officers and to his servants. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your godliest young men and your asses and put them to his work. He will take 10th of your sheep, and you shall be his servants. And you shall cry out in the day because of your king, which you shall have chosen you, which you have chosen, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. So God warned them. He said, look, you want this king, you're going to get this king. But I'm going to tell you how bad it's going to be. And the same thing. A lot of people want Donald Trump. You was able to get him out in the first election, put in somebody that, for better or worse, in some people's minds, is equally as bad, but on the other end of the spectrum. But now a lot of people demanding it. You can go where I live at. You see Donald Trump 2024. See the hats, see the signs, see the bumper stickers, see the T-shirts, all kind of stuff. And people are seen to be clamoring over this guy. Even though we see right now in the media all the heavy baggage, all the negative baggage that he has on him. God has warned, see, look, this guy's been accused of this, he's been accused of this, he's been accused of this, he's been accused of this, but people still want him. This is the warning. The same thing he did in Samuel by warning Samuel, telling Samuel what to expect from this king. He's doing the same thing to us right now. Okay, you want this president, but this is what he's coming with. He's coming with this baggage. He's coming with this baggage. He's going to do this. He's going to do this. He's going to do this. And the people back then in the Bible days, in the days of Samuel, still want the king, even though they listened to God and they did not heed his warnings. God is doing the same thing right now. He's showing us all the flaws of this president. And I'm afraid we're still going to vote. He's showing us all the flaws of President Biden, and we're still going to vote. Instead of voting, instead of praying, all of us come together collectively, Christians that we're supposed to be. We are letting these people divide us, and that is crazy. There is nothing in the Bible that God is going to support division or divisiveness. But right now, this country is divided. You can say whatever you want to, it is divided. And if we are Christians, we should not let this country be divided. We should be coming together biblically. We should be coming together spiritually. We should be coming together in prayer and trying to ask God to show us what to do, and trying to say whoever he puts in place, we need him to be a God-fearing man or a God-fearing woman. Not all this cutthroat, not all this backbite, not all this going back and forth. If it's confusion, God's not in it. I don't care what you say. If you're a Christian and you read the Bible and you know what you're and you know that you're a child of God, you've been born again, you know good and well that the two candidates we have right now is not godly. One more so than the other. I see no God in him. Like I said, I'm not a judge. I'm just the eye test. I see no God in him. All these things, all these things. There's a saying: if it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. All these accusations against Trump. Looks like he's doing this stuff. He sounds like he's doing this stuff when he opens his mouth. He sounds like he's denying a lot of stuff. Sounds like he's lying. I mean, I'm just telling you, I don't trust him. I just don't. And President Biden, we see sometimes he seems to be lost his train of thought, seems to be sleeping, misstepping, and falling. That's not a crime, but that's not someone that we should have as the face of the United States. We need someone that is like I said, is definitely God fearing, is definitely an intelligent person, someone that is going to make decisions based on his prayer and from his consultation with God. It seems like they're doing whatever they want to do. All of them. Now, not just saying these two presidents, but that's right. This right now to me is one of the worst presidential races I've ever have to be forced to, well, not forced, but in a position to vote on, that I really don't know which one to go. So from this day forward until it's time to vote in November, I'm going to pray, Lord, guide me to vote for the one that's going to be best suited to handle this, the one that is God fearing, the one that fears you, the one that has the best interest of the country. I'm not going on this Democrat and this Republican stuff because that's just a trap too. People say, well, you need to do this, you need that. No, I need to do what God instructs me to do. I don't care about what party it is. And you too, if you listen to this, you shouldn't care as well. But this right here is just the same thing. We read in the Bible about Solomon and Gomorrah. We're living now in Solomon and Gomorrah. We have the book right here to show us the mistakes of the past, and like history is repeating itself. The same way in Samuel, they didn't listen to the heeds and warning of God in Samuel. We're not listening to the heeds and warning of what we see right here with our own two eyes. We let people pull us in and say, "Oh yeah, he's going to do this. United States going to do this." United States is not the end all be all. Yes, we are so-called the leaders of the world and that kind of stuff, and people try to follow our lead, and this is the land of opportunity. But guess what? Our base should be God. Our, our platform should be a godly platform. Our foundation should be God. I think at one time it was, but it's so far from God now. It's ridiculous, and we got to get back to that. And I say we Christians, we need to band together and get back to what we used to be, because right now we are in a mess. And the only way we're going to get out of this mess is pray to God and ask Him, Lord, for direction. Ask Him for guidance. Ask Him for clarity. Ask Him for us to be able to discern from this evil and stuff into what is righteous and what is pleasing to Him. That's just my 2 cents on that. We need God. We don't need a president. Right now, we don't have a viable candidate, in my opinion. No one that I feel safe. But like I said, I'm going to pray in God on November, in November on election day, Lord, guide my hand to pick which one or do whatever I need to do that's going to be pleasing to you. That's what I'm going to pray for. Again, that's my 2 cents on this. We don't need God. I mean, we need God. We don't need a president. So if you encounter someone that doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in the Bible, and ask you, why do you even read that? I don't even read the Bible. I don't even worry about religion. There is no heaven, no hell. Then you need to tell them this. You tell them the reason why I read the Bible and the reason I believe in God is because I choose to believe the Bible because it's a reliable collection of historical documents written down by eyewitnesses during the lifetime of other eyewitnesses. They report to us supernatural events that took place in fulfillment of specific prophecies and claim that their writings are divine rather than human in origin. It comes from Pastor Vodi Bakum. Also, if this is the first time you ever see my channel, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe. I'm going to ask you to please hit the notification bell because I don't want you to miss any material that I upload in the future. Also, hit that like button because that helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. Also, please leave a comment. If you leave a comment, then I'll definitely read it and respond back to you. If you have any ideas for future shows, please leave those ideas in the comments, and I will definitely read them and try to develop a show talking about the comment that you want me to speak on. Also, share this video. Share it with your friends, your family, coworkers, anyone, and try to encourage them to develop a relationship with God if they haven't already. I'm trying to get subscribers, and I need your help to spread the word on this. Also, watch my videos from start to the finish because it definitely helps me out. So this is Friday, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday, whichever one you choose. and let's go ahead and count down to 5 o'clock, because 5 o'clock is then when we can go home and then start enjoying this weekend. I think it may be rainy, but I don't care. Need a mental break from work, and I'm just trying to get through these next 8 hours. So thank you for listening to the show, and I'll be back on Monday. I definitely appreciate it. I definitely thank you for hanging in there with me. And as always, have a good weekend, and God bless you.